to be fully transparent, the episode's comment was dating through the decades in this world, and it was like
Dating through the decades, and then Dennis pops up there.
this pops up, and, and we're just both like, we're over here telling our horror stories about men, and a
And
man,
here
And a
he
man
is.
just pops up.
and
And here he is, the villain.
the villain of all of the stories. You're not really the villain, Dennis. Oh my
That is
gosh,
so funny.
it was so funny.
Okay,
I really thought that was going to be separate, so now I need to make
a
2
different link.
different
Yeah.
studios.
Oh, he got kicked out.
That's okay. We got that part, so I'll make sure that
We
part
got that
stays.
part. We got that part.
We got that part.
I'm
Oh man, connectivity stuff.
so many connection issues. Well, Dennis lives in New York, so is
Oh,
the storm hitting New York too?
I think it's cold almost. His is better, but he is under a winter storm warning, so his might be getting worse too.
Okay. That makes sense. My extreme weather is just 80 degrees every day.
I love this for you.
We did have flash floods though,
Oh,
yesterday. It
I hate
started
that for you.
raining like a ton and we had flash floods, so that was crazy. But then it just stopped and went back to sunny and 80.
Well, that's
So
good.
yeah. I hate it. I hate the sun and heat.
Do you?
I hate it. I want the cold. It's sunny every day. Nothing ever changes. It's the same thing every single day. It gets
Just
boring after a while.
switch with me. Just switch with me, okay?
Done. Done. Take it. You can have my Maui apartment. Here we go.
Hello. That's a lot better.
There we go.
I'm
I think-
I'm
Okay.
I think the phone is better than the laptop.
Yeah,
It-
there we go. Okay.
It can be sometimes, yeah. Like I said,
There
it's one of those things that I'm very like familiar with having to deal with, unfortunately.
Hi guys, thank you for joining us for our 4th episode here on IndieInk. As you know, this episode is going to be chaotic and random, and with some bloopers in there as well from some technical difficulties because we are
Mhm.
human after all. And Blake is currently in a snowstorm, and I am currently sweating. So that's how our episode is going and how it's going to
Mhm.
go. But today we have Denis Brown with us. We reviewed his book, The Girl from Nastrond. If you guys follow our Substack, then you're able to read along. If you want to join, go ahead. You can join our reader community there for Indie Inc. podcast. And you can keep up with our next book that we're going to be reading for March, which Blake can tell you about.
Yes, so March's book is going to be, and actually I have a special edition copy, so I can't wait to show you. It's going
Okay.
to be
Why don't I have one?
it's Skylark. Isn't she
That's
gorgeous?
so... What the
I know.
fuck? Give me one.
I will give you one. I have this is like a sell one because I sell it in my store,
Oh my god, it's so pretty.
but I will
I need
definitely
to buy
give you
one.
one. And she also has like, hold on, this cute. There's like
Oh, that's so cute. See, so you guys can read along with us and you could buy from Blake's shop for
you
this
can.
next book. Blake, plug, what's the name of the store?
So the store is you just go on puretifa.com and then go to the Pure Tifa Cafe, and under the book section you'll see this. But Skylark is a military romance. I actually just finished a military romance that also has bottom. I actually just finished a military romance that to me was similar, and I didn't know that this was Rebecca Yarros before she started like Fourth Wing wrote military romances.
I did not know that either.
And I just finished one of her books. I can't remember the name of it right now, but if you've ever read a Rebecca Yarros military romance, because there's a couple different ones that she has, it's very similar to that. It has kind of the same vibes, but I'll just read the description really quick. Being the first female Navy SEAL is no easy job, but someone's got to dismantle the patriarchy. Rachel Riker, call sign Skylark, can outrun and outgym just about anybody. And with her second in command, Christopher Williams, by her side, she's practically unstoppable. Christopher would follow Rachel to hell and back, or maybe just to the Middle East. When a top secret malware code is stolen from the CIA, Rachel and Christopher lead their SEAL team through the Middle East in an attempt to recover it. I'm going to skip over the middle part. With secrets, pride, and a strict no fraternization policy keeping them apart, falling in love would mean sacrificing everything Rachel and Christopher have worked for. But when Rachel gets injured in combat, everything changes. Now Rachel will have to choose, does her devotion to the Navy outweigh her love for Christopher?
It better not. Fuck the military.
Give me 5 months and then I can tell you how I really feel about that. 5 months. Just give me 5 months. I'm almost
Okay,
done.
almost.
Almost
We're gonna
done.
check back in 5 months and Blake will spill the tea.
Oh my gosh, I have the whole tea. But I am so excited. Also, I just wanted to say I can't believe that we're already on our 4th episode.
I know, this is crazy. It's moved along so quickly, like every
Mhm.
month, and let me give some honesty here to our viewers. Every month Blake and I message each other and we're like, "Yeah, have you started the book yet? No, I need to start tonight. Okay, let's do we
Like,
got
okay,
we got
okay, great.
because somehow every month we're like, oh, we have so much time, and then you blink and it's like it's in a week. I need to read the book
No, I
every
literally
time.
messaged her. I messaged her a week ago and was like, "When are we recording?" She's like, "Next Saturday." And I'm like, "Oh, so I need to get the book."
I need to, yeah, and you got to read the book. Yeah, every month because Blake and I we are very busy, especially Blake. Blake does like a million things, and so the days just like go by so quickly. So, um, yeah, it's been going by crazy. And to think like we have one episode per month, so we'll have 12 episodes, about 12 episodes for a year, per
Mhm.
year, whatever. And that's 12 different indie authors that are joining us with vastly different books, mind you. Our first book
Mhm.
was a horror novella.
Mhm.
Our second book was a novel in verse. The
Mhm.
third book was a steamy romantasy with vampires book. And now we
Gothic.
just had like a space opera dystopian novel or novella. Like
Mhm.
that's like the greatest thing with people watching this and getting to hear from these authors is like so many different readers can join in and find an author that they love through it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the best things is that even if you listen, one, we're building a community and we're building a community for indie authors, and they don't always have that community. Yes, they don't always, fuck off. I'm writing. They don't always have that community, and being able to offer books that you're like, oh, okay, maybe that's not mine, but I'm going to tune in next time. And then you'll find a book that you really love.
Mhm. Yeah.
And also being able to show that and not only can indie authors do it just as good as published authors, but they can often do it better.
Yeah, and then to point that out, the thing that indie authors can do that trad authors can't is they can write and tell whatever story they want.
Mhm.
If any viewers here or readers are unfamiliar with the trad world, you cannot write whatever story you want. You even if you write your full first draft and you're like, this is the book I love, as soon as you get picked up for a trad deal, they very meticulously rip that thing to shreds and make you write
Mhm.
the story that they want to sell. Indie authors don't have to do that. They can give you any story. So there's so much more creative, often brand new stories that you've never even heard of with all of like tropes be gone. Like there are no tropes here that like Dennis just told us about a story with hover cars and swords and shields. So,
Yeah. Honestly, I love that. I love that this story was lacking in tropes.
yes,
I'm so
it's
over
great.
tropes.
As authors, I'll tell you guys right now, we hate tropes because we're being forced to muddle down our stories to these small tropes, and that's not what they are. Our stories are not tropes; they are so much more than that. So
Yeah.
I love
And
moving away from the tropes.
I mean, I don't mind, and I think tropes were originally, like, created so you could understand, like, little bits of that's going on in the book. So, like, if you say this is a found family story, but to me, that's not a trope, it's more of, like, a characters that's happening in, but tropes do limit it, and they also limit writers. I can mention, like, I love Anna Hong as a published writer, but she has obviously had to condition her writing the bigger she got into publishing, and some of her books have lacked because she had to follow a trope throughout her whole story that maybe not be how she writes or what she believes, and you can tell that there's inauthenticity there.
Mhm. I also think that readers need to learn again, like go
Mhm.
back, revert to being uncomfortable with the book that they picked up. I know people love to read for fun, and that's wonderful, but how much greater is it to pick up a book and not know exactly what it's about and to just hop along for the journey? That's what reading was supposed to be. We shouldn't be curating, in my opinion, we shouldn't be curating these books for a reader's experience. We should be writing the stories we want to tell, and then readers can enjoy it, hate it, whatever, but that's the mystery of it. You get to find out which one it is.
I agree, and tying that into The Girl in the Strand, I get really uncomfortable reading new books, and I try to do it without reading the description, so I actually never read the description of the book.
Really?
Honestly, I never even read the description of Skylark. This is the first time I read the description. I was like, "Oh, this is a well-written description." The book definitely made me uncomfortable, and I do wanna, us to just quickly pop into what we liked about the book and didn't like about the book. The book definitely did make me uncomfortable, but I agree with you that sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone. And it was interesting because at first it made me uncomfortable reading this. It was like, I don't know. And then it became more and more like spaceship dystopian. I was like, oh wait, I love this genre. Let's go. I
And
was
that's
so
Blake's
excited.
genre.
It's my writing genre. It's a genre that I love. It's a genre that I love since I was a kid. So it felt really good to I'm always afraid to get into sci-fis, kinda like the way I'm afraid to get into high fantasy. Ooh, there's like a whole little feather that just found its way.
Where the fuck
Kind
did
of
that come from?
similar how I
Why
don't
do you have
know.
feathers on you?
I think it's from my blanket, but it's similar to how, like high fantasies, because there's sometimes it can get too descriptive and too crazy into world building that sometimes I feel like I'm lacking the story, but being able to have a short book that
Mhm.
I could dive into and low commitment, right?
Yeah, 167 pages, and you immediately get into the world, and
Mhm.
then that's sort of just like what you're in, and then you're stuck in there until the book ends. And um, it what I really liked is that the language itself, the way he portrayed like the narrator and the characters or whatever, is that when you're reading it, it's very easy to be immersed in it in a sense because you're not taken out by modern language or whatever these random things because the story in and of itself is weird. And
Yeah.
so you can exist there at the same time. It's easy to get into. That's what I liked about it. I love forcing myself to branch out of fantasy. I am a high fantasy girly. I want my swords, my dragons, my hidden agendas and whatnot. But I also love, you know, things like this with sci-fi where it was easy to jump into and to switch into that mindset for
Yeah.
futuristic type things.
Was there anything that, like, you didn't enjoy from it? Like, not in a super critical way, but just, like, your personal
Yes, because I'm a high fancy girly, dialogue is not my favorite thing in books. I don't know if people feel this
Really?
way. I don't know if other people feel this way, which is funny because my most highlighted and quoted stuff for my books are all dialogue. But as a reader, I'm not a big dialogue person. I like the inner monologues, the descriptions,
Mhm.
the world building. I like that stuff. And there's a lot of dialogue, rightfully so, in this book. It makes sense because there's a lot of political stuff, you'll find out. Um,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of dialogue, and I found myself being like, "Okay, I want them to stop talking. I want to I want them to stop talking really quick."
That's hilarious. So I also loved the very easy way that he was able to world build and the world that he created. His narrator was my favorite character because the narrator in this
Amazing.
book is a character.
Yes.
I love dialogue. I mean, I don't like super dialogue things, but I do love dialogue because the tonation and the way that characters talk to each other can give you a lot without having to have some of that backstory or the over I didn't like the dialogue in this book. It felt kind of stunted to me, but I also know that traditional sci-fi lacks in dialogue. Like
That's true.
the
Dune. Jesus Christ.
right, and it lacks in
Dune's
dialogue, and
dialogue.
if you think about one of the biggest Star Wars is one of the biggest movie franchises or franchises in the world, right?
Mhm.
one of the biggest commentaries that George Lucas gets is that he has stunted dialogue. And it's you don't always get like when you get a book, and I think that this is something that people need to know. When you get a book, you're never going to get all the pieces add up together. That just doesn't happen.
Yes, that is true.
And so sci-fis, because they're so in your mind and analytical, sometimes the dialogue suffers because th- this is the way that the story is being told. And that would be if I had to like pick a criticism that I didn't like. And when you watch the episode, you hear something that like irked me, but I would say that. But it's that being said, it is probably one of the more well written books that I've read in a long time.
Yes, it is. It certainly is very well written. The pacing of it is phenomenal. You
Mm-hmm.
are never like bored. There is always
Mm-mm.
something happening. And just like these small quirks that we talk about in the episode, um, are are so valuable to a reader. Like the narrator, the tone of it, of the prose, the everything about it, the structure of it is really fun, and I really enjoyed. But yes, I am just personally, it's the same thing like with George R. R. Martin. George R. R.
Mm-hmm.
Martin does dialogue like a fucking beast. He is great with dialogue. He is
Mm-hmm.
great with these characters interacting with each other. His world building kind of sucks.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
It kind of
you don't
sucks. Kind of
you
sucks. It
can't get
does
them
for high
all.
fantasy. It kind of sucks, right? So,
Yeah,
and that's just the thing. There's a trade-off every single time. Like in my book, I think I do world building really well, and I think I suck at dialogue because I hate dialogue.
I do dialogue really well. I hate world building.
The opposite. So then combine Blake's and I's books, and you can get
And then you have a
both.
perfect
Then you'll have both of them.
Okay, but yes, so please, also we're going to I'm literally going to do it after we get out of this, but we're going to launch a
Yes.
group on Fable. I love
Mhm.
Fable. I don't know if you've heard of it. Fable is a woman-owned thing like Goodreads, or there's what's the one that like gives you graphs?
Storygraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's similar to that. One of the things that I do like about Fable is it allows you to create and have digital book clubs.
Hmm.
And so we always keep fussing at you guys to read these books with us. So we're going to create a Fable group book club for you to be able to read these with us and come in and commentary. And like Kathleen said, we're always messaging each other about the books
So
back
you
and
can be
forth
in our messages. You can see, but we're like, wait, what the fuck just happened in the
all
story?
the time. All
All
the
the
time.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can be
So
in on it and join us with it as we read the book.
yeah, our next book again is Skylark. By the way, the second book is out now too. I haven't read it
Okay.
yet.
Wait, have you already read Skylark?
Hmm.
Oh, so it's gonna be just me. It's
No,
gonna be me and our reader.
no, I'm gonna reread it. It's been a while.
Okay.
And it's been a while, so I want to reread it. But I'm so there's a beauty of sometimes having read a book
Hmm.
and knowing what's happening in this book and getting to read it with someone else.
Okay, you're gonna just be waiting for my message to be like, what the fuck?
I can't wait. I'm still gonna be reading it with you, but I cannot wait to be like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't
Okay.
ruin it for you.
Okay, I'm excited then. I'm excited for that to happen. Okay. But yeah, all right. Well, this is the episode. Thank you. Follow us on YouTube. Also, if you don't want to watch the video and you want to do your thing, we're also available on Spotify. So follow us along on Spotify. You can listen to
And
the
Apple
just on
Podcasts.
and Apple Podcasts. You can listen to our podcast episodes on there as well. And of course, follow our Instagram, our
Mm-hmm.
TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Follow both of us on social media, author.Kathleen Ray.
Blake Gabriel. I think it's all
Yes,
Blake Gabriel
and
now.
it's
Yeah.
Blake. Really, yeah.
And we used to be like Blake
The
Books or something. It's
delayed,
Blake
the
Gabriel.
delay between me pointing and then like,
There's like,
silence.
hold on. Let me think. I'm
We're so
working on
great at
like
this.
branding this time. And it's like your name has to be everything on everything. So it's Blake
This is
Gabriel.
why we're authors. We don't do marketing. I mean, Blake kind of does, but like we shouldn't be.
Gun to
We
head,
just
I
write.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. And gun to head for me, I'm pulling the trigger. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Thanks for
All
watching,
right.
everyone.
Bye guys.
thank you everybody for watching and checking in with us here at IndieInk. This is our 4th episode. Today we're joined by author Denis M. Brown. He has released his debut novel, which is titled The Girl from Nastrond, Part 1, specifically Part 1, which is ominous right there. The synopsis, or not the synopsis, the blurb for his book is: an infamous retired mercenary turned freelance muscle for hire, Alexander the Hatchet Holland takes a routine job that changes the direction of his life forever. Plunged into the mysterious world of galactic imperial decrees where a peasant orphan girl's life hangs in the balance. The Hatchet becomes her protector, sacrificing everything to keep her safe from the Galactic Empress Ostra and her armies. Denis, I first came into contact with through TikTok, through mutuals. Denis has a very interesting thing, which I also want him to explain on this podcast. He has a feud, ongoing, maybe not ongoing, a feud with another author online where they make videos about each other and get into like a battle. Yes,
Oh my,
Blake, you're gonna love this, Blake. So Denis, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then at some point I need to hear about how this feud got started.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm Dennis I'm Brown. I'm an author. My first book has been out for almost a year, and the sequel is almost done. So
Oh, okay.
uh,
that's exciting.
yeah, it's it's been a it's been a year, but we're getting close.
Honestly, it takes a long time to do sequels. Sequels are hard. I
Sequels are hard.
struggle with my sequels so much.
So I actually just thought that like I don't know how to explain. Like I just started writing. I have a job that I have like 2 to 3 hours a day of downtime with nothing to do. And so
Mhm.
I just started writing in that time. And there was no plan, there was no deadline, there was no pressure. Nobody knew I was even doing it.
Mhm.
So the original idea was just write the whole story, but I got to about 50,000 words, a little more maybe, and I was like, it's kind of a book. Like I could, because I was just writing it in chronological order.
Mhm.
I was like, I could clip. Like one day I was just like, I could cliffhanger this and then do a sequel. So I did it and then published it. And then I took like 2, 3 months off to try to kind of promote the book,
Mhm.
which is how I ended up on TikTok. Um, yeah. So then I started part two, but I did it very differently, and I outlined it to sort of figure out, to make sure I got through it,
Mhm.
and that turned out to be not like it's not my favorite way to write. And so yeah, so I got through that, and the other day I have so many. I'm like 2 chapters away from being done, and there's too much up in the air. And I'm like, it's going to be 3 books. Like, I can't do this. And, but so I decided the other day, I'm just going to finish it. And if it's long enough to be 3, I'll release 2 and 3 simultaneously. And if it's
Mhm.
not, 2 will just be a longer book. But
Yeah. How
yeah,
many
but
what's the word count at for the sequel right now?
about 55. So I
Oh,
think
oh,
like
okay.
100, it would be well, it's like 65 is probably realistic. If I did 3, I have to stretch it. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that either. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Let's
But
see. Let me go on Readsy and see how many like.
How do people know how to stop writing?
I don't
Because
know.
I write too much.
I remember
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I remember when I was writing the first one, I kept Googling like how many words are in a novel, or like how many pages is this many words. I was trying to kind of figure it out. So it turns out 50,000 words in a paperback is about 170 pages.
So I
Okay.
will say. So I have a sci-fi. It's loading right now. I have a sci-fi book out. It's
Yeah.
a dystopian sci-fi. My word count is 142,251. And
It's
sci-fis are typically a lot longer
Yeah. Yeah.
of
And the
books.
fantasy ones too.
Yeah, fantasy ones too.
yeah,
And
my
so
books are unfortunately too long.
I don't think it's so like my fantasy book, let's see how many. That one I think is around 80 if I could guess. It's been a while since I no, that one's 66,000. That one is I can let me look how many pages that ends up being. Hold on.
What is going on? What is this topic we're diving into?
I have a point. I promise. That one is like, hold on, I gotta get to my page count. That's like 240. My point is that I don't think there's ever too many pages for a book. I think that your books take however they take to tell the story. And I think sometimes when you worried about, is this going to be too much? Sometimes you lack the like background depth that you need to make a well-rounded story. So Kathleen, your books aren't too long. You're just making sure that your characters are understood. And Dennis, you could write however much or however little, and it won't matter because people
The
don't want to
story's
read it.
complete.
The
Yeah.
stories
Well,
in this, sorry, go ahead.
So like the guy that wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo,
Love him.
so he was a magazine, right? Like he was a journalist,
Mhm.
and he just wrote that book for fun in his spare time, and then he died. And his girlfriend took the manuscript to a publisher, and they are the ones who decided to make it multiple books. So it's just one story. It's just one story, and he was doing it for fun, so he just kept going. So mine's kind of like that. It's like it's one story, and I just cut it off because I was like, I'll make that a book. So it's really one story. And one of the things I decided a while ago I'm going to do when it's done is I'm going to release it as a single hardcover. So the paperbacks will be like, you can get the part 1, part 2, whatever. But if you want the hardcover, you can get the whole thing in one book.
Oh, that's smart.
I know.
That's a cool. I like that.
There's a author that I have in my store, and she did that. She has a collection. They all came out separately, and then she made one giant collection of all the books.
Yeah, I think readers like that when they can get the whole collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably will print like a limited number or something. I won't do like a unlimited. So the feud. So I started on TikTok, and of course, you start on social media. I have no followers. I have no whatever. I feel like I'm old for TikTok, which turns out I think I'm not, but I felt that way.
How old are you, if you don't mind telling?
What year is this? 46.
That's not too old for TikTok. I follow grandmas twerking on TikTok.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just thought it was because my kids are on it, so I think it's for kids, you know.
Yeah.
Oh well, it is. And no, it definitely is for kids. I can tell. But anyways, Kay, go on with the feud.
So I had no idea what I was doing. In the beginning, I was just like posting videos I had on my phone of like bugs and stuff. I don't know. And I didn't want to talk. I felt like if I made videos of me talking, it's kind of pretentious and nobody wants to hear that. So I didn't. And then I think I made a few like, please buy my book kind of thing. And and then I noticed this guy, Cy Foster, he had a much bigger following than me. It seemed like he was about my, like, I don't know, he's probably in his 30s, but he seemed like he's about my age. And he's like this super handsome Italian guy with an accent, and people go crazy for him when he's on there. So I started trying to pick a fight with him.
On purpose?
On purpose, yeah. I was like, because that way I'll get some attention, you know? If I can get him to, my thought process is if I can get him to respond to me, then I'll get attention from myself. So I think the first time I had like 50 followers, and I was like trying to pick a fight with him, and he ignored me. And I would say rightfully so. I would have ignored me too. And then I came back like a month later, and I think I had like 250, 300 followers. He agreed. You know, it wasn't like I was picking a fight by being a jerk. I was like saying, hey, we should be nemesises. And he was like, all right, we'll do it. So it's over. I won, but yeah, it went on for a while. Every I think it was Thursday. I think it was every Thursday I made a Cy Foster is the worst video, and then he would respond, and we would.
It was amazing. So I got dropped into this random feud with authors, and the first video I see of Dennis's is he's like at a podium and he's describing how much Cy Foster sucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, everybody has to have their like.
And I was like,
thing.
this is great. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know who Cy Foster is, but you know what? You're right, Dennis. Fuck that guy.
Well,
honestly, I gotta join.
The thing that was really funny was his fans got angry. The thing that made me laugh was his fans actually got angry with me, but everything I said was a compliment. So I'm like, Cy Foster is the worst because he's too handsome. Cy Foster is the worst because his books are good. Cy Foster is the worst because it was all like actually compliments.
Yeah.
And then like I would get rage DMs from people who were like, "You need to leave him alone." It was so funny.
Oh my
But
god.
by the end,
That
I
I
was by the end of it, I was photoshopping pictures of him with like Crocodile Dundee. I made up this whole backstory that he was Australian and that he was smuggling kangaroos and like all this stuff. It was just so ridiculous and absurd, but people still were mad. They were still so mad about it.
This
oh,
So,
needs to be
I loved it. It
studied.
was
This needs its own mini
hilarious.
series.
but then but I say I won because he stopped making TikToks. So he just does lives now. But
I mean,
I do,
lives
yeah,
are where the money is at.
yeah, I do occasionally go into his lives to tell people he's Australian. But
Nice, nice. All right, not to bring up the Australian Scythe Foster, but we're gonna move on and talk about Dennis's book So something that Blake and I do here is when we read books for authors, we highlight some of our favorite quotes from the book. Some
okay,
quotes are we highlight them because we like love them because they're beautiful or whatever. Some quotes we
Mhm.
highlight them because they're so funny or dumb or out of context or whatever it is. So we'll go
those.
through, we'll read some of the quotes and you can shed some light on the quotes for us.
Yeah, I would love to.
Um, so this first one is it's not necessarily the quote itself of why I highlighted it, but more so I need to bring this up. Um, General Tyr. So General Tyr stood and bowed his head, Your Majesty, he said. General Tyr, okay, I didn't realize this book because you don't have it in your blurb, and I didn't know at all that it was Norse mythology, and I'm a Norse mythology author. This is there are so many Norse mythology themes. Tyr, Blake, I don't know if you know, but Tyr is the god of war in Norse mythology.
Okay.
Also, there's a General Fenrir the wolf, which we'll get into that later, what happens
Now
with that, 'cause I highlighted that quote as well, which also is indicative of very close to the story in Norse mythology of what happened.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, with Norse mythology, is that like the backbone?
You're the first person who caught that.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the
Well,
back.
look,
So that it's so I don't know how to explain it. So like I've always wondered why Easter was called Easter. And then I went to Germany when I in the 90s and in German, Austria is the name of Austria is Österreich, which is it means Easter Empire. And I'm like, why would they name a country that? It doesn't make any sense. So I started like kind of looking into to like what's the story with it, and I found out that both things are named after this or Germanic pagan fertility goddess Oestra.
Yeah.
So, like the English word for Easter has nothing to do with Christianity. It's still this pagan fertility festival. And if you think about it, like all the ways we celebrate it is definitely, I mean, it's Cadbury's commercials and a pagan fertility festival. And we're like, oh yeah, and Jesus. So
oh yeah, and Jesus.
It's
I
so I've
just thought it was,
actually studied a little bit of that because I'm non-religious. And so on Easter, I like to go around and say, "Happy pagan holiday. Happy
yeah,
pagan
for sure.
holiday." Because
Yeah.
what people don't know is Easter actually falls on the first full moon
Sorry, just
after the first Sunday of the first full moon after the spring equinox. That is how Easter is determined. And that's still how Eastern is determined.
Right.
And
And
it has nothing to do with any religion whatsoever. It's literally determined by a pagan system.
well, I mean, it was a religion, and it's like very clear to me that like a lot of the what have become like Christian holidays and calendar stuff is there was a negotiation that went on between Christianity and those Germanic pagans where they're like, hey, you know, you should do our thing, and they were like, no, but we have this thing with the tree we do at the solstice. And they're like, oh yeah, we have that. You can
Yeah,
keep that.
they adapted these pagan holidays simply
Yeah.
yeah.
to bring pagans over to Christianity.
Yeah, and there's long periods of time in the history of Christian Europe where those holidays were illegal. So it was like the Puritans who came to you know the Massachusetts Bay Colony or whatever absolutely were fervently anti-Christmas. They
Mhm.
were like they didn't believe in it. So yeah, so that interested me, and then I liked the name. It was cool. So I made the Empress that in the book that name. And then it, like you guys write, like thinking of names all the time is a headache. So I just pulled up like a list of, and I ended up doing this in part 2 also with different, but I pulled up lists of like lesser deities, and then that's almost every character is that. I mean, every character in the book name has a reason behind it, but almost everyone
Mhm.
is that. Like I don't know if you recall Fuxi, that like accountant guy.
Mhm.
That's a Japanese deity. Like they're all, so almost everybody's name is from some pantheon of gods somewhere.
I do the same thing in my dystopian book. All of the characters for them, all of the like main characters are named after crystals. And then for my fantasy book, I picked a lot. I like Googled what are some good like mythological names, and I love doing it because you get a full list and you just like pull
Okay,
from them.
but wait, what do you? So you had so many Norse elements in the book.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So
there's a
did
lot of
you follow Norse more than anything else?
Yeah.
there's just a lot of like kind of archetypal. I tried to make the story itself kind of, so the main, and the whole thing started off when I started writing it. It was called The Hatchet. It wasn't called The Girl from the Strand. She kind of showed up, so it was like the book was about him, and I
Mhm.
had him very clearly defined, and he's kind of like he's kind of inspired by like the Hound from Game of Thrones, or Joel from The Last of Us. That kind of like violent, grumpy, but protective kind of hero thing.
Mhm.
So I like that. I like that kind of thing. And then, I think like for it to really work, like in both those cases, he needs a vulnerable person to protect, or you don't see that protective side. He just seems like a violent asshole. So um, that's where the girl came from. And then, about halfway through, I was like, oh, the book's actually about the girl. It's not really about it's not really about him. So I changed the title. But so yeah, that's really the
Okay.
overall story. And then I think, yeah, there's some things in there, and then some of it you don't know yet, but there's some things in there that are definitely just kind of, I think, pulled from some of those like I don't know about Norse necessarily, but like old Germanic kind of archetypal fairy tale type stuff.
Yeah. Well, I found
Yeah.
that super interesting because my books are heavily inspired by the Poetic Edda and Prose Edda and Germanic paganism. And so I was just like reading, I'm like enjoying a sci-fi book, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And then like another thing happened. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I know these stories. And then at the end, which we'll get into in a bit, I was like, ah, you bastard, I know exactly what you did.
And I know what you're
Okay,
talking about. I 100% did that. I didn't actually know that story. I was looking for names, and I stumbled on Fenrir, and I was reading about it, and I was like, oh, I'll just use it. Like that's perfect. So I did that.
yeah.
That was
Well, I guess,
the event.
we can talk about it now. Here, we can
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about it now.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
have
Um,
had
no
him.
idea what the story of Fenrir is.
let
I
me
had.
let me read the quote,
Okay.
and then Dennis can explain it. From Norse mythology, the story. So Fenrir unsheathed his sword, bringing you the Empress's regards, he said, and then he hacked at Tyr, who instinctively tried to block the blow with his arm. Fenrir's sword chopped completely through Tyr's forearm, the wrist and hand falling to the ground. Tyr cried out and grabbed at his severed arm. So that is a story with different. It's a twist and inspired from it,
Yeah.
but that is a story from Norse mythology with Tyr, the god of war, and Fenrir, the wolf of Oti, the god wolf Loki's son, kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the Norse or the Germanic pagan story is that Fenrir bit off Tyr's hand.
Hmm.
So I needed a dramatic sort of conclusion to that, and I was like, that works. So I'll just run with it. And I honestly thought somebody would notice, but you're the first person to mention it.
I mean, because this is still Norse mythology. You know
That
what I'm
is
trying to
Norse
say.
mythology. Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So sadly, Norse mythology, words are hard, is not one of the more I mean, you see it a lot more in fantasy, very heavy in fantasy, but it's not one of the more common lores that a lot of people kind of lean into, and it's also something that, is it I think it's Rebecca Yarros. I think she uses some is it Norse? I don't remember, but she uses some words and name the characters that she pronounces wrong and
But
uses.
that's Gaelic. That's different. That's Irish
Okay,
folktale.
thank you.
Yeah.
But I think that some of that comes from not really understanding, so people don't use it. A lot of people kinda lean forward more to more, like, your basic Olympian gods and things like that sometimes because they're easier to understand, they're more present in our our main world, and also we're talking about how you used Ostera, which is named from the god, which is how they based Easter, and a lot of people shy away from some of the truths about some religions, and they do
Right.
that unconsciously,
Right.
and I think that that's also another reason why that might be the people didn't pick. I've never been through. I think there's maybe one goddess in Norse mythology that I know.
But
Well,
yeah.
one of the overarching themes of the book is
Mm,
sort of a subtle criticism of religion, and not that I'm not irreligious or against religion, but like there's a part in there where they're talking about how they base the entire like religion and culture of this civilization on poems they found.
yeah, I
And
read that was funny to me.
right, the poetry was actually written by a schizophrenic lunatic, but
Mhm.
500 years later no one knows that, and they found it and they're just like, we're gonna run with this is it. And I think that's I don't know. So I think like the book in general is like sort of critical of like the absolute kind of I'm right religion concepts, and then government probably in large part, and then also there's kind of this overarching through the part two more, but the kind of points out that like an economy built only to extract resources at all costs, like how negative that is, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's kind of baked in, like those three ideas are kind of baked into it.
Your book has a lot of very important dystopian themes in it,
Mhm.
because dystopians, as a fellow dystopian, I don't know if you consider your book to be dystopian,
I
but
mean, it's pretty what's the
yeah,
word?
it gives me if you've ever seen
Pretty rough.
Space
Firefly.
opera dystopian.
Yeah, I don't have you ever seen Firefly?
I haven't, but somebody else mentioned that and recommended I check it out.
You 100% should check other than the fact that Firefly is an amazing series, however you feel about Josh Whedon, Firefly is an amazing series that ends with, Serenity. Even if y To be honest, even if you don't wanna watch the entirety of Firefly, it's funny, it's easy to watch, it's not a lot of episodes, it only had 1 season, and you just wanna watch the movie Serenity, is the one of the epitomes of, like, space dystopian kind of books, and the thing I love about dystopian books is they always make a commentary on how we see the world and what we see are the problems in the world, and it's more how people go, "Books aren't political." Dystopians are one of the most political books you could ever write.
Sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I don't, I certainly don't want to get involved in like the current, like whatever political discourse, but in general, I think like broader political themes, I think are important. And I think, I think ideas are important. And,
Yeah.
you know, I just think
Yeah.
that my opinion's in there, but I'm not gonna, I don't know. I refuse to engage with like some of this stuff that's going on, but like
Yeah.
I
I
was I was on a live and I was talking about how there's slavery in the book.
Mhm.
Nowhere in the book, in either book, does it mention like races, skin color. Like none of that's in there. And this woman got angry with me and started yelling at me about how I like slavery. And I'm like, no, no, like what? Like
well,
what are we talking? What are we
your
talking
people
about?
on the internet love to misinterpret everything we say and do.
Mhm.
Somebody like ripped into me for my books stating that I was glorifying suicide because I was writing about a woman who was depressed. So,
I
It's
you
not
wouldn't
can't win on the internet.
There was
let
a
me.
lady. There was a lady the other
Um.
day on Threads who
Mhm,
posted a thing. She was reaching out for help from the author community. She was writing. It was her
mhm.
first book. She was writing this book, and she was struggling because I can't remember, either the character had mental illness or brain damage. I don't remember which. But the character in the book thought and said terrible things. That was part of like whatever this was. And rather than be helpful, this like mob descended on her. The book's not even out yet, and they're like they all like reposting it saying don't buy her book. She used slurs. She's a racist. All this stuff. She never even said that. And I was like, what is happening? Like people are
Yeah.
nuts.
People can get so the heart. This is what I don't like about cancel culture, and I'm not going to get into the AI topics or whatever, but I just want to like in general, I don't like cancel culture, and I don't like the way that it like weaponizes people and people's thoughts and beliefs because everybody has a different thought and belief. And what cancel culture was supposed to be was to like stop people from having these really damaging beliefs that infringe on people's rights and actually hurt people. And people take that now and they just kind of run with it to piggyback on the slave thing. I, as a Black woman, did not jump to, oh, his slaves must be a different color. Your slaves are, your system of destruction was classism,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
The whole book is
Right.
based on classism. And this is very highlighted with Tyr's story and his personal story about how he lived in the slums, how he was broke, how he was a slave, he got sold, he had to do all these things, and he only found power. Yeah, he only found power through becoming a general, and even in his dismissal of his title was the most devastating thing to his psyche because classism is the way that you have rights in the system in the world that you
Right.
created. I
Right.
never
Right.
thought for a second it was anything. And people who do that, it's frustrating because it diminishes from the real problems. And I think that's one of the reasons why they do it.
Yeah, and I think like for me, it was like I don't. It's not necessary. Like you can read that book, and everyone could be Black. You can read that book, and everyone could be not, or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
there
whatever
wasn't many
you
color
want.
descriptions of people.
No, the only physical descriptions I did were Hatch has one blue eye, and Anderson has white hair. But that's okay. So it could be anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we actually Dennis had commented on one of my threads because I had spoken about this, that I don't describe what my characters look like typically. Like I'll their hair, their height, those main things, but like my main character, her body is and skin tone is never described.
Right. Like so Hatch. Like I have to describe him because his size is part of the story, right? Like part of the way he interacts with the world and the world interacts with him is because he's so big. So I have to do that. But other than that, I don't mention anybody's like I don't.
I'm the
It could
opposite.
be whatever you want.
I'm the opposite, but I think that I have a different
No, no,
duty.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that
No, no, I
everyone
don't
should.
think
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I honestly I love that. You know, there's hate or love J.K. Rowling, but before all of the craziness ensued, one of the things that she said when people were mad that Hermione in the play that they were putting on was Black was that she specifically never described Hermione's color, skin
right,
color, anything like that.
right,
She
Yeah.
purposely didn't do that.
right,
And I think that, you know, I'm saying that I don't want to, but also I have a different duty personally to describe and put representation out there, but I also very much love when I love gender ambiguous names, but I also love when characters are ambiguous because that lets you feel this emptiness in them that you can insert yourself into.
right. There's settings where it would matter, right? Like if you were writing a book about 1984 Los Angeles, like the race of the people would
Mhm.
matter in the story, right? Like, and there's certain things we would all understand about their experiences based upon how you describe them or where they came from or whatever the case may be. But in
Mhm.
my case, that wasn't. It's a whatever, a galaxy far, far away kind of thing. So I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um I have another quote, and this is just a funny one. Um I'm not going to hurt you, Tyr responded dryly. There was nothing in the galaxy that repulsed the former general more than cowardice. And I read that quote and I was just like, that is so funny. That's like that
Tyr,
character in a nutshell, like that's just hilarious.
Tyr's
Like
such a jerk, and I feel so bad for Fuxi. Is that how
Yeah,
you say it?
Fuxi. I
Yeah, I feel so
think.
bad for Fuxi. Tyr's such a jerk. I want to share one of mine. A lot of mine were like comical, dry. I love dry humor. I love dark humor. So one of the later ones that I did, but still kind of in the beginning of the book, was the frivolous wasting of wakefulness. Died. I'm like it's so hilarious that it's such a like fucked up concept that a king would outrule the frivolous wasting of wakeful. Like what? Like
what
we
a
need
great
to see.
line.
It was such a great line.
And if you really pay attention, like all the stuff that they do, the empire, emperor, lord, whatever, all of it is very corporate CEO, right? So a lot of that is stuff like it's like that to me is like something I would have. Well, I used to work in corporate America, and like that's an email I would have gotten. You know what I mean? From somebody. So like it's
Yeah.
True.
yeah, like
Like
it's an
how do we make the
exaggeration.
most out of this time that they have?
Yeah, like I used
Yeah,
to work
How do
that
for
was
this.
we
funny.
I worked under
utilize?
this vice president. They had already changed the language of firing people to separation or whatever,
Mhm.
sanitized language. And he, in a meeting, was advocating for changing it again to promoting them to a customer.
Promoting them
Oh
to a
my
customer.
god. I would
And I was
I
like,
would set
"I'm
that place
not,
on fire. Someone
like,
did
not doing that."
Then but
promoting them to customer, I would be like, "Well, I'm promoting you to an ER bed, so
yeah,
put up."
congratulations. Look what I promoted you to disabled. Welcome.
Yeah, like fight
Yeah.
me now.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
I think
I
I
love
think the funniest I think the funniest thing in the whole book is the two what are they called? The the astrology guys.
oh, oh yeah. Oh, I don't have a quote from yeah, I don't have a quote from them. But there were so many, or oh, who was it between? I don't have it highlighted here, but it was so funny. It was Tyr talking to someone else, and the guy starts crying, and Tyr goes, "Why are you crying?" And the guy goes, "I'm not. I have allergies." And Tyr just like looks up and just goes, I was just like, "That's so real, so real."
Tyr's such a
Uh,
dick.
I love it. I love how much of a dick he is. He's always just like, "Stop crying. Stop being annoying. You're annoying me right now. Leave me alone."
He w There's like a lovable like Hatch is a lovable dick, and Tyr is just like, I would be very okay if the whole like I'm never rooting for Ostera, but like
Right.
I'm
Easy.
if she cut off your head, I'd be okay. I would prefer it,
Yeah.
honestly. How
Yeah.
quickly
Hatchet
can we make this happen?
She's worse in the
Hatchet's
second.
Hatchet's mannerisms remind me of Geralt from The Witcher with all of his like gruff like fine, fine,
Right.
I guess I'm gonna do it. It's like, oh my, like I don't want to do this, but I'm forced to, and now I'm taking care of a girl, and now I have to keep her alive every 5 seconds.
Right.
While we're on that topic, so I love the way that you write this book. I remember reading it and messaging Kathleen is like, "Ugh, I'm so into the way that you're writing this book." But I did have some confusing points. And so
Okay.
my first confusing point, like character-wise, was so not to give us any spoilers, but obviously you guys
We've
should have read
already given
yeah,
some
you guys should have
spoilers.
read this book with us. We told you to do it, you didn't do it, that's your
Yeah,
fault. Um, was when so Hatch gets requested to take Baby Yama. By the way, that was one of my quotes, is them calling him Baby Yama. It was hilarious. Um, to take Baby Yama to Nastrond. And when they get there, things go up. And Hatch just immediately latches on to the girl. And so I wanted to know, for me, it felt just like a little jarring. And so I wanted to talk to you about it because we do, a lot of authors have very purposeful reasons that may not be seen yet to the readers. So I wanted to know, as Hatch as a character, why did he go from protecting him? And I know it was traumatic because his brother was killed too. He went straight from that to getting the girl.
So yeah, so I did that on purpose because to show like how in that situation he's able to focus through on his own survival, which is why he's still alive,
Hmm.
and also his understanding of the situation. Like the minute he realized that all those guys were there for that girl, he knew if he had the girl, he had some leverage because the chairman Yama guy said, if you don't, if this doesn't go well, I'm going to kill you. So he's just like, okay, well, I'll get the girl, and then like at first she's just a
She was like
bargaining
a
chip.
bargaining chip. Okay.
Right.
Because it felt so like jarring to me. And I'm not, again, this is
Well,
like to me.
again, that was kind of the idea. So it's like you sort of understand the world that they exist in, right? So like
Hmm.
these military guys just show up at this like dystopian hellhole and just start killing people. And
Hmm.
that I think part of why he reacts the way he reacts is because this is just normal. Like this is what they do. So it's like, all right.
His main focus is survival. Like Hatch's big
And,
thing is survival.
right. So I think in that moment, just he's not, he's not an emotional guy, although the death of his brother is a big deal. And then later on when he has a moment of peace, like you kind of see that a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I will say
in
that
the
hearing you say that, it also makes me think of like psychologically, we don't get to see a lot of it, them talking about Hatch's past and how he got the name Hatch. But it's clear that he fought his way through something and he also fought his brother's way through it. And he was very protective of his brother and kept his brother with him through it all. And it makes me think of people who are protectors, even if they're mean, grumpy men or whatever. People who are protectors are always going to feel comforted and like they have a purpose in
right,
protecting. And he
sure,
lost his purpose when his brother died. And it seemed like, now that you're saying that to me, I could see the concept of him latching on to another
right,
person to protect, to keep
right,
his mentality.
yeah. So it's funny. I've seen a bunch of these little prompts on TikTok where people are like, if your main character had money and could do anything they wanted, what would they do? And I've thought about it a few different times, and I'm like, I don't know, because this is what he would do. I think. I don't think he doesn't know anything else. This is it.
Mm.
It's been this is what he's been doing since he was a child. So
Yeah. He's very
who he is.
much a like Geralt or like the Hound. I think yeah, I mean you're right. The Hound is more closely related to him because he literally just wants to fuck off and do nothing and things keep happening. He's like, God damn it, fine.
Right.
Like,
And yeah, I really enjoyed um I didn't read the books, but I watched the show, and I really enjoyed when the Hound had Arya Stark, and like she's kind of a smart mouth brat a little bit, and he's such a grumpy jerk, and just that like kind of dynamic I thought was fun. And then I saw it again when I watched the Last of Us with Joel and Ellie. It's kind of
Hmm.
a similar kind of a thing, and I was like, I really like that. And so that's really why that's in there, because I just think that dynamic is fascinating.
You
And
could definitely tell that you were like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, so if you take it in a mean way, I apologize, but you could definitely tell that you were, people take shit that I say, and I like to preface things beforehand. I'm sorry, I'm very blunt and honest, and sometimes it comes off the wrong way, so I give, like, a precursor to my conversations, but I could tell that you were pulling from a lot of maybe TV shows or books that have that same interaction, and I actually love a grumpy, I love the way that a young girl or even a young boy can bring out the humanity and what someone might see as a broken, old, grumpy person. Like the
for sure,
concept of Up, right?
right. Or even that Clint Eastwood movie where he's like such a like a racist jerk, but then he becomes really good friends with that kid who's
Gran
from
was
some.
that Gran
yeah.
Torino?
Yeah, Grant's right.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that concept a lot. Which is why I have a bone to pick with you, because I was mad
About what?
at Hatch.
Oh, what do you do?
He left her alone in the room with that creepy dude.
Yeah.
I was mad at Hatch. I was like, "Sir, let me, I'm reading this book. I'm a very like into a book type of person. I'm reading the book and they're talking about, I don't even remember what his name was. Aska
I don't something. I don't
something.
remember. Yeah.
And
Dennis doesn't remember.
they're he should be forgotten. They're talking about him and they're like, "Yeah, he got banished because he was inappropriately touching women, the thing that he does, right?" And I'm like, "Cool. We're not going there." And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go there." And I'm like, "What do you mean, sir?" And then he gets in and Hatch and his belief that if you give someone a stern look into, they're gonna like listen to you, leaves her. And I'm like, "Sir, y'all know he bad."
Right. So that was, for the record, that was so hard to write. That scene took me forever. And it was like emotional to write it because it's like it's so terrible. But she had to have that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, how do I get there where she has that moment? Like I need her, she needed to not be like this very protected, bratty teenager, pre-teenager, whatever she is. And I needed her to kind of have a trauma to propel her into a kind of a different stage of her life. And so, yeah, I agree. It's actually out of character for Hatch to leave her, but I don't know. That had to happen. So I felt like that had to happen.
Can you go ahead and say what the girl's name is, Dennis?
Rachel.
Yes. I needed him to say that because at so many points in the book, Hatch just refers to her as the girl.
Crib rat. Or
The
crib
girl.
rat.
Or crib rat. Hardly ever by her name.
No,
Yeah.
never.
Maybe
Yeah,
twice.
he's never said her
Oh,
name. So
never. Okay.
yeah, I think at one point she's like, "I have a name," like whatever, and he's like, he just doesn't care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he
even at the
doesn't care.
end. The end is, I think, when it's interesting because we get introduced to her as Rachel, but I don't think it's till the end where she actually says what her name is.
It's somewhere towards the end, but well, actually I have a quote somewhere a little bit after she
Mm-hmm.
had um talked about that, her name and stuff. And this is just a funny dynamic between them. Uh, so Hatch is explaining the phrase that means basically like lights out or lanterns extinguished
Mm-hmm.
to Rachel, and Rachel goes, "Where'd you get that from? Was that your language?" And Hatch says, "I read it in a book one time." Rachel laughed. "A book? Why is that funny?" Hatch opened his eyes. "I'm a big, scary hatchet man and I read books," she said in a mockingly deep voice. And he just says, "Go to sleep, crib rat."
That was funny.
Yeah, I love that little dynamic between them. But yeah, I was reading it, and when I got to that point, and that's towards the end of the book, I was like, wait, he literally never says her name. Like, he's never saying
No.
her name.
Yeah, I think when she yells at him about it, she's like, "Why don't you say my name or whatever?" And he won't do it.
Yeah. Because he doesn't want to get attached. He's like still trying to pretend like he isn't attached. And then it's
Right.
like, sir, you're attached.
Right.
You're attached.
Exactly.
We can all see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
that was
yeah. So
funny.
right. So that's yeah. He's not gonna. Right. He's having a hard time with, I think, with that reality.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call you out a little bit, Dennis.
All right.
Dystopian writer to dystopian.
Again.
I'm on fire today. Because no, he said something that I think is important to talk about. He said that this scene, and I don't, want to refer to it because it is a trigger warning scene that happened, was really hard for you to write. And I could
Terrible.
tell that it was because it was kind of almost like glossed over.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I've had to write difficult things in my book as well. And it's not easy, and you want to just get it over with.
Yeah.
But I think that it as hard as it, sometimes you have to write the hard things
Right.
and write
Part,
it in.
yeah, and part of the reason it's kind of glossed over is it's sort of written so
Yeah.
um
It's written in like broken pieces.
right, because she's not there. So
Mm-hmm.
she disassociates from herself, and then it's written that way where you're sort of experiencing what she's experiencing, which is
Yeah.
not not accurate or whatever. But
I think I read that scene as in that way where it was what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh. When you're out of body.
Out of body experience.
But
yeah,
there's a phrase. I'm a psychologist and I cannot remember the psychology phrase for it.
she
But there's a phrase
disassociates.
for, yes, dissociating. Oh, Jesus Christ. Dissociating. I read it as like she's so dissociated from her body that
Mm-hmm.
the descriptions aren't even like it. The phrase in writing is um you it's passive voice basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you can utilize passive voice in a very unique way with scenes like this where it's no longer like her hand or whatever. It's like her body part, her arm or whatever. It's nothing. It feels detached from the person at that point because like she's dissociating, and that's how I read it. Where it was like she's no longer there. She is now the third person point of view that we're watching this happen as.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
she sees herself put her hand on the stove and doesn't
And doesn't like
react.
register.
Yeah,
Right.
I do agree with you that there is in books and character development, which a lot of people don't know, and this is a seasoned author will always tell you, do not base your characters off of yourself because you will not make them go through the hard things that they need to go through in order to get to the other side. And you were
Unless
very correct.
unless you hate
Yeah,
yourself.
unless you hate yourself.
I don't know.
But I do agree with you that it was imperative to get her to the other side of being a fighter. I wish she would have fought him a little bit to kind of like get that fire in her too. But I also understand and have wrought about. I was lecturing my mom about this because she was like, it's fight or flight. I was like, no, mom, it's changed now. She's like, what do you mean? I said, it's fight, flight, or freeze. And
Right.
I,
Fawn or freeze.
yeah, I love that you showcased freeze instead of, I want her to fight because I'm a fighter, but I love that you showcased freeze because a lot of people question a woman sometimes, like, why didn't you do anything?
Right.
And we don't get to control how our body reacts to situations like
Sure.
that. Our
Yeah.
bodies just do whatever it thinks is the safest option.
I also the way that it was written for me,
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and reread this scene
Mm-hmm.
because I went through it and I myself didn't have an emotional reaction. I was like, that's kind of weird because usually I have emotional reactions with those things. So I went back and reread it and I was like, oh, it's just because it's so normalized and the way you wrote it was like, yeah,
Like,
this is normal in
this
this
is just what
world.
happens.
Like this is just what happens in the world. Like it wasn't treated as like and then this happened and everyone's shocked. It's like, no, this is the world. This happens all the time. And this
Mm-hmm.
just happened. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And so I really
Well,
appreciated that way of writing it.
Mm-hmm.
right.
It
And
tells a
and
lot
the
about the story in the
the interaction right before that with those guys that were hunting or whatever, it was suggested that that was what was going to happen, right?
yeah. If
You know,
if ha- that- That's why it made me so mad that Hatch left there.
I
I was
did
like,
yell at
no.
Hatch as well. I was yelling. I was like, why the fuck would you leave, Hatch? What are you doing?
You literally just was lecturing her about not trusting men, and then
yeah,
here you go.
right.
It was frustrating, but
He
I
came
do
back
want
in
to
time.
I do want to commend you. I am not a third person reader. I think a lot of people do it wrong. It Writing in third person, people think it's easier because you get to give multiple perspectives, but it's also a lot harder because you have to do more work to make someone
The
connect.
emotions. Yeah.
Hmm. And I love the way that I wasn't necessarily connected to your characters as much, but I was very connected to the world. And I love the way that you use third person to make social commentary, and you used a very ironic voice that I don't know if a lot of people picked up on. But
Yeah,
that's
so that's
not
like one of
easy
the
to do.
yeah. So when people ask me like, "What's the book about?" or whatever, one of the things I always try to include is that the narrator hates half the characters with you.
Yeah, he hates the whole world. He thinks that the
Yeah,
whole world is based off of frivolity and
right.
ignorance and people just
Yeah.
I like
So
and I just
I
love
you like the
when I
narrator even
when I initially wrote it, a lot of those comments were like I tried to figure out how to do them as notes. There'd be like a number. So
Mhm.
it'd be like in the story, like this was said or this happened, and then there'd be like a number, and at the bottom, the narrator would be like, "That's not what happened," and explain what really happened.
that's not what happened.
It got so
Yeah,
confusing
like a
after a while.
footnote thing.
Yeah, it was just, but it was like every page had a paragraph of footnotes, and finally, I was just like, "Nah, it doesn't work." So I had to like kind of go back and rewrite it and put all those notes back into the story, which is
There
why
It
was
the
works.
there was a quote
Mhm,
specifically, or not a quote, but it was in there with the narrator where a character said something. So it was dialogue tag or dialogue tag
mhm.
was from the narrator saying like lazily lied. And I was like, that's
Or like
hilarious. It was like
on my
something
face
like that. And I was like, that's hilarious. Like straight up just clocking them immediately.
immediately after or be like, "She told them this. That wasn't actually true. This is what really happened." I
yeah.
love that.
So one of the
Yeah.
things I was aware of because I knew this in setting out was I wanted to have a futuristic civilization that still used bows and arrows and swords and stuff. And
Love that too.
so but
That was
partly
so
that's
funny to me.
Mhm.
so partly that's ridiculous, right? So I was like, well, if I don't address it in a tone that's acknowledging that it's ridiculous, I think the reader would be like, this is so ridiculous. So I thought like, okay, well, how do I kind of broach that? And I was like, oh, well, if the narrator kind of agrees with you that it's ridiculous, then it's like normal. Like you're in on it. You're not noticing a flaw in the
Yeah.
story, like in on the fact that it's like, yeah, everyone with a brain is like, this is ridiculous. So that's kind of where
It
that
Although
was there's a chapter or a part in one of the chapters where it literally goes from them from characters riding a hoverboard to then describing another character like on a boat holding a sword and a wooden shield. And I was like, Dennis, what are we doing here? What
I
the
oh,
fuck
that was
is
a dream.
this?
The
I
bow is a
I
dream.
I loved it
Oh,
though.
oh, oh, okay, okay,
Y
yeah.
I loved it because, you know, to the listeners out there, one of the things that is described throughout the books is the failings of past leaders and how they failed, and it was hilarious because, you know, it trying to avoid political things, but having political things that happen. The creation of mass destruction things that could do serious harm to a large group of people. And the irony that you put it in that this ruler made them create this thing because he was mad at this world and he didn't want this world to exist anymore. And he annihilated himself in the
Right,
process. And
right,
the comment is that, okay, so from now on, what we're going to do is not
right,
this.
Not
right.
this.
Yeah,
We're gonna try something different now.
Yeah. We're gonna completely prevent someone stupidly being able to annihilate the world in themselves because they were on a power trip. And let's just go back to arrows
right.
and
Yeah,
swords and it was hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
And
that
was
like
was so
giving
funny.
if
like
the
I,
Death Star worked, what would
like
happen next?
sure, and like Oestra making all of her guards shorter than her.
Yes. Oh my god, I forgot
And
about that. That is so
dress
funny.
less than her so they couldn't
Right,
outshine her.
right,
That
right,
is so funny. I forgot
right.
about that.
I thought that was funny, and I feel like that's the kind of thing like certain presidents probably would do, you know. So I was like, that's funny.
Yep.
I'm doing that.
Yep. No, that I forgot about that. Oh my god, I remember reading that line and just being like, "Oh my god, that is hilarious." Like,
I would be the complete opposite. I would be like, "Can you make these people dress better than me so no one will give me any attention? Like, how do we make that happen? Like, I look less.
Well, I don't think you should be a dictator then.
No, I don't think I think that there's several things about me personally.
Yeah, nobody should.
I would think so.
I would
But
be
like,
the world's most loved dictator though.
but part of her thing is, from being the younger sister, is like she does have an insecurity factor, right? Like she's not supposed to be the empress, so like she's got to constantly, or I think she
Prove
feels like she's
herself.
got to do all this violent stuff and be horrible and be noticed because she's insecure in her position
Yeah.
as a
She
user
kind
as
of
a user.
reminded me of from Alice in Wonderland, the queen of
With
Queen of
her head.
off with her head. Just
Yeah,
the
of that.
bravado and dramatics where she was trying to like station herself, and it was like, and even the narrator's like side eye. Okay, okay, girl.
Right. Yeah.
Go off, queen.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
Yeah. So I really tried to imagine, like, it was just like, what's the most evil? Like, what's the most evil human imaginable? And then what would that person do? And that was kind of like, that's where she came from.
Wait, but why does the most evil person imaginable gotta be a woman?
I love evil
Because
women.
it's work. Because it's work.
She said, I love evil women. Maleficent.
Yeah. Because her being a woman makes it worse.
Do you think that?
Yeah. I think it works better.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I think in if with dystopian novels,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so easy to lean on that a man is the villain,
Mm-hmm.
because we see that so often in political climates, in like social standings, and all
Sure.
these things. It's so easy, and
Right.
I love when women are villains because not only are women capable of being villains,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's it is different oftentimes. The way a woman is a villain
The way
versus
the
the way a
women,
man is a villain.
yeah. I am
Now,
not gonna disagree with you.
if the same character was a man, like, insecure in himself, insecure in his position, does all these violent things, whatever, I think there's a part of, at least me as a reader, that wouldn't think of him as being evil, but think of him kind of as being pathetic.
Yeah.
And
I
so by her being female, I think like she's not pathetic. She's just evil. Like, it's terrible. She
I
doesn't
mean
have to do.
I think she's still pathetic because she needed to feel so and not pathetic in a mean way, but what you
Yes,
said, she
pathetic
has
in a mean way.
yeah, I
Yes,
mean, but
pathetic
she
in a
has like
mean
an
way.
insecurity and her
Right.
insecurities led her to killing her father, patricide, and to killing her sister just to make her feel more important in a world where she had importance but not enough for her. Um,
No power. Importance and no
I
power.
yeah. I
Mhm.
love hate a female villain. I'm not trying to plug my book, guys, but the way that I speak is by comparing. So I
Sure.
apologize if it ever seems that way. I speak by comparing like my own experiences.
No, you're good.
And I have the big villain in my book you would think is a male, but the real villain is actually her friend. And her friend is a female. And it's kind of like lightly put in there because I agree. Like having still being pissed. The feminist in me is pissed. The part of me that loves the book is not pissed, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Having the villain be female opens up for more character depth
I agree.
in her. And
Right.
you actually do a really good job of having character depth in her and showing like her relationship that she had with this other guy and
Right.
her severe need for people to see her one way, that she has to do it in secret, and if someone finds out, then it's off with her head, and her inability to let anyone get close to her
Right.
is
And
very visible.
There's a
that works
very
better with.
Yeah, there's a very famous quote. I can't remember from who. It's from an author, but I don't remember who it is specifically. But they said that um a woman's anger is far more often reactionary than
Mhm.
proactive. And when you see a villain like this, her villainess, her evilness is reactionary to the fact that She's insecure. She's low standing compared to who else could be ruling. She feels the need to assert herself all the time, over and over again. And so it's like this reactionary cycle. And then every single time that she doesn't get exactly what she wants, it creates the spiral again, and she lashes out to try to grab for
Right.
control, which in
Yeah.
turn makes everyone look at her and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
She's a woman who enacts her own end, right? Like it's this interesting thing about psychology, but also mythology and religion. When you have someone that comes to you, and I can't remember the exact story, but basically, when you have a oracle or someone comes, it's Harry Potter. That's what it is. The if you look at it in Harry Potter, Voldemort would have never had these issues if he had never heard or believed this oracle or whatever she was say the thing. And the only reason why all of this is happening is because he put his own beliefs and feeling on who it was or whatever. And he was the person who actually activated his
Curated.
demise. Yeah,
Yeah.
curated his demise. Astera, if she would have given this thing that the oracle says to her, a grain of salt and never sent anyone to hurt
Right.
this girl, none of
Right.
these things would have actually gotten into place where she can actually get to her to hurt her.
Right.
She is the reason why all of this is happening. And she's the reason why she's going to have demise, because her insecurities. And this thing about when you act out of fear, you actually bring those fears into reality
Right.
that
Yeah.
you display beautifully in this book.
Right. Thank you. That was the idea.
Well, well, it's been a little over an hour. So, um, this has been great though. I love all the conversations we've had. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us, Dennis.
Thanks for having.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed this book. I don't get a chance to read a lot of sci-fi because I'm a high fantasy girly. I love my swords, which was so interesting because I popped in. I'm like, wait, there's swords.
She's like,
Nice.
I'm winning.
There's
It's not
swords.
really
This is
sci.
great. Yeah.
Sort of sci.
But yeah. But and so for anyone who hasn't already read it along with us through the Substack, you can find The Girl from Nastrond on Kindle Unlimited paperback, and then Dennis seems to be working on a collective item for the next books in the series that you can
Mhm.
buy as a hardcover all in one. So that'll be exciting. I'll have to get that and put it on my shelf. Dennis, where can they find you? What are your social media handles? Dennis, I think, doesn't have a website. He told me.
Yeah. Website. I'm on TikTok. I think it's Dennis M. Brown author.
Mhm.
Maybe. I think so. And I have a Threads, but I don't like it. And I have Instagram with Dennis M. Brown author. That's it.
And there you go. So that's where you can find Dennis online. He always makes very funny videos. Without the feud, even without the feud, sometimes Dennis just makes a video and I'm like, Dennis, what the fuck is this?
She's like, what the fuck are you?
I'm like,
Well,
this is so
I did.
random and it's
Did
hilarious.
people are always trying to figure out how to get engagement on TikTok? I can crack the code. If you go to Long Island and insult them, you
you
get
rage bait.
infinity comments and views.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, so this was great. Thank you so much for joining us, Dennis.
Thank you.
And yeah, so everybody check out his book. You can read it for free on Kindle Unlimited. That
Mhm.
way Dennis gets a kickback for it. And after you read it, you might want to purchase a paperback as well, which I'm about to do. I always do that for the authors. If I read it on Kindle Unlimited, I buy the paperback version afterwards so that you get double royalties. So if you want to
Mhm.
do
Thank
that
you.
as well to support indie authors, that's the best way. Read it for free once and then buy the paperback copy so that they get double the revenue because Amazon stays keeping all of our money.
And if you want a signed copy, you can buy it on TikTok.
You're on
There
TikTok
you
to
go.
shop?
Yeah.
The
There you
TikTok.
go. Go to the link in his bio on TikTok and you can purchase a signed copy there. That was our episode with Dennis. And yeah, thank you so much.